the mayor of Carson thought it was a good idea, and he was doing the right thing. So on the day of Michael Jackson's funeral, he ordered the flag outside City Hall lowered to half staff. That didn't sit well with local veterans and experts on flag protocol.
The people who complained to me were all over 50 years of age. And, you know, it's a situation where it's a matter of opinion. Should an entertainer be honored in that way? Well, if it was Bob Hope, I would see very few people complaining. And he's a world-renowned entertainer.
Power to lower the flag to half staff. Our contributors tonight, editor of WitnessLA.com, CelesteFremon, and veteran KNBC assignment editor David Reese. David, we're going to start with you. A letter published in the Daily Breeze called lowering the flag for Jackson a ridiculous idea. Do you think it was?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily ridiculous, although I do remember when we grew up as kids, when you drove by the library or the bank or whatever, and you saw the flag at half-mast, you figured somebody important had died. And, you know, I don't know if Michael Jackson necessarily qualifies for that. I mean, I think the mayor was right about this. It's a matter of opinion. But, you know, I think some of the veterans groups who were upset probably had a reason to be because, you know, last time I checked, the governor only lowers the flag in California if a member of the military, California military, is killed. So, you know, maybe it could be a little disrespectful to those people who have given their lives for our country. But I got to tell you, the hoo-ha over this makes me laugh because, you know, the city council has nothing better to do than to get mad at the mayor over this.
Celeste, what do you think? Should the mayor have lowered the flag to half staff?
Not the flag code is not a law. It's really a code of politeness and etiquette. But traditionally, although theoretically it's only the president and someone of his stature that's supposed to be able to order this, we all know that at Parker Center in downtown L.A., if a police officer has been killed on the day of his or her funeral, we see that flag at Parker Center at half-mast. But where I'm completely with David is that, you know, we've got a state with a budget in meltdown. We've got all kinds of problems, and we're really and truly going to talk about flags and where they were on the day of Michael Jackson's memorial. It seems a little silly. But, you know, I think that the mayor needed to have not done it. If Michael Jackson was raised in Carson, I'd say go for it. But Carson had no particular relationship to Michael Jackson other than just, you know, being a fan city along with everybody else. I think it was silly and silly to make a big fuss about it.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. The loss of a child is the ultimate nightmare for any parent. Realizing it was your child that caused that loss is yet another nightmare. For the first time ever in Orange County, a juvenile was convicted as an adult and faces a maximum sentence of 15 years to life in prison. 17-year-old Milad Malawi was drunk and driving 100 miles an hour without a license. He crashed into a utility pole and killed his 16-year-old passenger, Mackenzie Frazee. His blood alcohol level was .11. Malawi was treated for cuts and bruises. Your heart goes out to the parents. David. First time a juvenile tried and convicted as an adult of murder in a drunk driving accident in Orange County. Is this a good precedent to set?
Hell yes. I'm sorry, if you're going to be driving a car, you need to pay the same penalty as the rest of us do. You get behind the wheel, you take on a tremendous responsibility, and that is something that was pointed out to this boy just hours before he got behind the wheel and caused this accident. He was
Here's the problem,
drunk.
David.
He did not have a license. You
know, David, at that age, we don't let him drink beer. He can't have sex with the person, you know, he can't have sex with an adult. We're not going to let him into certain movies. He can't vote. And the juvenile justice system was set up more than 100 years ago because we recognized that juveniles are different. And we have the notion that this kid, that we're supposed to ask ourselves, can this kid be redeemed? Certainly we want to see him punished. If this were my daughter that was killed, I would, you know, be out of my mind with grief and fury. But the U.S. has 2,500 kids, more than that, doing life without parole. We are the only country in the world that sends juveniles away for life. And
well, you know what, Celeste,
we want to hold him responsible, but he's a kid. And we can't have it both ways.
Celeste, let me jump in. Well, you say he's still a kid, and David, I know you have a point to make. He's still a kid. I'll tell you something. He committed an adult crime there. And when you take someone's life because you're drunk driving, and that would lead to this question, quite frankly. If you're the parents of this young man, why in the world is your son driving drunk after he's had his license, his learner's permit revoked? I mean, where's the responsibility lie here?
And he had several friends who were with him who refused to get in the car with him because he was so drunk and told him not to drive. I mean, Celeste, I'm with you. I do believe that we need to give chances to kids to redeem themselves, and I get all that. But here's the thing. If they're not mature enough to be treated like adults, maybe we shouldn't let them drive at 16. You know, these are life and death consequences.
Fine, but let's not try them for it as adults. I mean, throw the book at him as a juvenile. I'm all for it. I mean,
I got to tell you, guys, we got to move on. Celeste, I gave you the last word on that, but I have to tell you something. And I have kids. I have 5 kids. I have many kids, but you know what? I don't think you throw the book at him as a juvenile here. I think he should have been convicted as an adult. Let's move on. If I told you you could randomly be searched at any time as a way of helping keep us all safe, would you go for it, or would you feel your privacy was being invaded? If you ride the Metro Link, your bags could be searched. It's happening at Union Station and elsewhere. It's part of the Keeping Us Safe from Terrorists program. I don't know about you. I do think that's a good idea, but it does present some problems. The question of profiling comes into question. Why is my bag being searched and not theirs? It would seem impossible to search them all. Celeste, do you think irritated people should just have to deal with this and it's a good thing?
I think deal with it. You know, it's been instituted in New York. It's been instituted in D.C. And frankly, in D.C., they haven't found it to be very successful. They're not finding much. After 1,000 searches, which have been pretty random, they found 1 plastic gun. But sure, have at it. I'm not convinced it's going to keep us safer. But my worry actually is that, you know, how much money is this going to be costing, and could that money be better spent on Metro Link safety?
David, your thoughts?
That's a valid point, Celeste. And this I think we agree on. You know, I think it's one of those implied consent things. You know, when you get in a car, speaking of driving, you know, you automatically give police the right to search your vehicle. And I think it's sort of the same concept here. You get on a train, I think you have to understand that in today's day and age, sad though it may be, that if you're going to ride a train, you need to understand that you may be subject to search. Do I like it? No, not really. And, you know, what was it, Ben Franklin or someone who said, you know, he who sacrifices freedom for security deserves neither. You know, it's not a perfect situation, but I would agree with Celeste. You know, I think in today's day and age, it's something we just have to expect.
All right, let's move on to our next topic.
The same thing happens if you go to Disneyland.
Oh, go ahead, Celeste. You want the last word? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing happens if you go to Disneyland or a concert.
Okay, let's move on now to our next topic.
Okay.
In the last 12 months, 759,000 jobs have been lost in California. 759,000. Now, we know the state has no money. Budgets are being slashed. Services being cut. And that being the case, could you please explain to me why the state of California is actually hiring people? To me, it's mind-boggling. Even though California has no money, the state has added 3,600 jobs in the last year. Taxpayers believe cutting jobs, not hiring thousands, should have been the answer to the recession. Private businesses are reducing their workforce. David, when you hear this, doesn't it boggle your mind?
It does. I mean, I'd like to know a little bit more about where these jobs are being created. I think that might play into this. You know, there were some ballot measures that were approved by voters about increasing, for example, law enforcement and public safety. So I'm kind of curious if that's where some of these numbers are from. But as a general principle, yes, it's appalling that we're in a tremendous budget crunch here. The rest of us have to tighten our belts. I don't understand why state government doesn't seem to get that message. It is appalling.
You know, the only thing I was able to find out is that 1,500 of those jobs are possibly to beef up unemployment because for obvious reasons. But I want to know where the rest of those jobs are coming from. The AFL-CIO, who has a food bank together with United Way, has never – I mean, virtually the food bank has remained empty. Now they've got lines. So, yeah, I'm a bit perplexed.
Yeah, you know, both of you want to know where the jobs are going, and both of you want to know where that money's being allocated. I got to be honest with you. Wherever the jobs are going, and it's still mind-boggling. It just doesn't matter. This is not the time for that. When people are losing their jobs, when people are losing their home, when the state is sending out IOUs because they don't have enough money, I don't think anybody wants to hear, yeah, but we hired 3,600 people. I don't care where the jobs went.
If we're going to beef up the unemployment department, maybe we need to bring something else down somewhere else. So I'm kind of with Fred on this one. It is sort of questionable.
All right, so David, since you were with me on this one, you did a terrific job tonight. And Celeste, I appreciate you doing this. Nice job as well. Thanks a lot.